Hello there, and welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me here today. As you've likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez. I get the pleasure of hosting you here each week, and today I can't wait to dive in to a case study format, something we've not done before here on the podcast, but I think you're going to love it. But before we do that, I will quickly introduce myself in case for new friends, and then we will jump right in. Now, as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help dream-chasing horse business owners like yourself to ditch the marketing overwhelm, get the clarity you've been craving, and grow your business in a way that meets your definition of success. Now, I do this primarily through business and marketing coaching, and then I also have education options such as this podcast and some online learning resources as well. My heart in all of these things truly is to help you as an equestrian entrepreneur be out in the barn, the arena, behind the camera lens, behind the computer, wherever it is that you serve the equine industry. I want to help you do more of that. And so here on the podcast, you will get a mix of step-by-step strategies, essential how-tos, and entrepreneurial mindset shifts that will help you not only see what's possible for your business, but I'm also here to guide you through that process so you can make it happen. And today we're going to do that by learning from a successful equine business. Now, I used the word success in the podcast title because we can all identify with a desire for success in your business. But here's my reminder about success. It is personal to you. But I will tell you this too. As a business owner, there's one element of success that is going to be common for everybody, and that is profitability, right? You've got to be profitable if you're going to be sustainable for the long term. But it also means impact, and it can also mean a variety of other things. But how do we get there as an equine business owner? How do you achieve success in your business? One of the ways to do that is to learn from others who have gone before you and are doing either what you would like to do or they're experiencing success in a way that you would like to as well. Now, I am not suggesting that you copy or mimic what others are doing. 100%, that's not what I want you to do. But there is something to be said about learning from others and seeing the strategies they've applied, the principles that they've incorporated that have made them or their business successful. How did they get there? And what could you learn about what you do or don't want to do for your own equine business? And that's what this case study format is going to help you do today. Now, we're going to look at Ariat, partly because I know that I have many of my podcast friends, email friends, social media friends are on the spectrum from English to Western and anywhere in between. And Ariat is an international global brand that most of you will know, regardless of the area that you're in. They are one of, if not the largest, equestrian sports brand in the world. Now, if you look at Ariat International today, you might think you have to be doing all the things because you see them all over the place and in a variety of places. But remember, they're a 30-year-old business. Doing all of these things is not how they got their initial success. And it's actually not how they continue their success. Ariat has had a singular focus that has driven their strategy, their marketing, their messaging, and their culture. And you will hear that throughout this case study. So if you've ever felt like you should be doing more, or you struggle to narrow down your messaging for fear of leaving people or horses out that you could potentially help, then this case study is going to help you out. So let's take a closer look. I'm going to help you apply some lessons to your horse business, okay? Now, I want to say this first. This case study episode is based mostly on a podcast interview that I listened to with Ariat co-founder Beth Cross. And it's also combined with information I have found on the Ariat website, okay? Now, this is not from a conversation I have had with Beth, although I do think that would be lovely to have her on the podcast one day. But for now, we can do a case study and learn from afar. And that's what we're going to do here. I'm going to walk you through how they started as a company, the central themes that have been key to their success, and then how you can apply that to your own equestrian business. Let's start with the history, right? Let's go back to the beginning. On their website, Ariat says they were founded as the new breed of boot. Now, even in that, I hope that you can hear the specificity of that. Yes, it's a boot. We're going to dive into what that means, but that was the premise, okay? Now, their claim to fame is that they were the first to integrate athletic footwear technology into boots for equestrian athletes. Again, we're going to look at some of the specificity of that because I want you to see how narrow it was. Now, what they would say on their website is that today, our world-class product team builds innovative and award-winning performance products for all types of outdoor and work environments. So I told you that, right? They started small and then they expanded, and you're going to see that. So I want you to notice that they started being specific to equestrian athletes. Their audience was very clear. All right, let's keep going. Now, Beth Cross worked for a consulting firm. That's what she was doing before they founded the company. And one of her consulting clients was an athletic shoe company. It was actually Reebok. And one of the things that the Reebok had come was looking for different categories of footwear that they could expand into. And so Beth, now I may get this wrong, so I may have to go back and look at this history because I want to make sure it's accurate for you. But I will tell you that Beth or a few members of her team had the idea for Reebok to expand into the horse world. Many of the sports already had basketball shoes, running shoes, court shoes, all those things. And so she saw an opportunity here for Reebok to expand into riding boots. It is a sport. They are athletes. And according to Beth, she said the footwear then was incredibly dated, old-fashioned, hadn't been changed in over 100 years. There's no innovation there. And so Reebok actually said no. They saw that it was too different for them. They said no to it, but Beth had an idea sparked. Having been horseback since childhood, she knew there was something there. And that was the beginning of the brand. She had a co-founder, and they started shipping product in 1993. So as of this recording, this is being published on January 1, 2025. So this year, they'll be celebrating 32 years in business. Now, on the podcast, the gentleman that I heard interviewing Beth asked her, where do you even start with making a shoe, right? She was a consultant. Well, what I love is she said, you might think it starts on paper, like we just start drawing out our ideas, but actually it starts with the use case. We had to ask ourselves, what does the user need? In many cases, she said support, stability, protection are things that were coming out for them. Now, again, think about her audience. The questions she said they started with was this concept. What do you need when you're riding a horse and you're in the stirrup? That was their starting point. I hope, again, that you hear the specificity in this, okay? They were very clear on who the audience was. They were clear on what the problem was and how they were going to solve that. Now, of course, they expanded from that a little bit, but that was the starting point. That was their guiding light as they started out. Now, from that, they were thinking about when you're walking on the ground, you're going to have rocks, stones, nails, those types of things. You're going to need protection from the elements in terms of heat and water and cold. You're going to start thinking about what else they're going to be doing in those shoes. But starting out, their concept was, what do you need when you're riding a horse and you're in the stirrup? Now, again, she said from there, we start then putting it on paper. We wanted to have elements, she said, of traditional footwear, but the key here was we wanted to be sure that athletic shoe technology was being used as a part of the boot. And that was the key differentiator. They wanted to take technology and put it into footwear that would be rugged enough to stand up to the requirements for riding. And that was what made them unique and different. Now, a lot of people, she said, think riding is just something you do on a horse. But those of you listening also know that what she knew to be true, which was 90% of your time is spent working, and riding is like the icing on the cake, is how she said it. She was thinking of it from that rider's mind. They're on the ground, they're taking care of the animal, they're doing a lot more things than just riding. And so durability was key for them. Again, why was durability key? Because they were keeping their audience, their end user, in mind in everything that they did. They weren't making assumptions. They were actually talking to their ideal riders, which we'll see, and they were knowing what was important to them and implementing that as they built their products. So she said, we draw it out on a piece of paper, thinking about those things, and then just start assembling the components and the materials. And it only took them a year. Within the year, they had a product to offer to athletes. And that's what they would do. They would find the athletes that were equestrians and they would say, hey, I have this product. Please try it. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. What would you like to be different? And from that, they would innovate and they would evolve. They actually had a program where they would give their product to trainers, give them a really deep discount so that people that were training their students would get them to use them and they would get ideas. So again, they were very close to their end user. This is a key component we're going to talk about. I'm sure you won't be surprised at this because I keep pointing it out because it's so key to their success. Now, yes, did they evolve over time? Absolutely. But that focus was always to integrate athletic footwear technology into boots for equestrian athletes. Yes, they've expanded past equestrian athletes, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. But that was the key to their success starting out. Now, one of the questions the gentleman asked her was, how many years was it until you started to think about other parts of the market? So starting out, it was specifically boots for riding. When did you expand? And here is a bit of what Beth shared with him. Within about 4 or 5 years, she said they noticed that they had a lot of Western boot riders and they had a lot of ranch workers that were using their footwear because it was so rugged, because it was so durable. And so they had a lot of people using it in the ranch environment. And so it started to evolve from there because they saw that there was a lot of demand, a lot of people in the Western states, interestingly enough, that she talked about. And I say that interestingly enough because I found it interesting that this is how they evolved. Or I think it's interesting because it wasn't that they said, oh, we should just do this. Like, this is what people need and this is what we will do, which if you've done a case study on Apple, interestingly enough, that is one of Steve Jobs' principles. So some people do that. Like, we're going to build the product I think they need and show them they need it. But by and large, that's not typically what happens. And it's not what happened here for Ariat. Instead, there was demand. The people in the Western states that were using their boots were using them in a ranch environment, and many of them were starting to use them in more of a work environment, a lot of oil, gas, rigs, energy production, that type of work. And so they saw a huge demand for their boots growing in those environments. And so what did they do? They sent people from their team to go spend time with those end users, learn about their needs, their wants, their problems, and develop and evolve products specifically for those users. So even as they were growing with intention, and they were growing by paying attention to what their users were asking for and needing. And interestingly, she said, when you look at our total business today, this was a podcast interview, I think it was early 2024 maybe, that had published. And she said work, especially with apparel, is a bigger part of their business than probably any other product, which I found fascinating because we see it so much in the equestrian market to see they have the other market out there too, and that's evolved over time. But they do what they're doing with excellence in every market, wherever they go, because they keep these core principles at play. So every season, they're working on new ideas, but they do it by going out into the field and working with their customers. They're always very close to their customers and their end users, whether it's riders, whether it's trainers, whether it's rig workers, all of those things. They're working closely with them to figure out what they need and how they can continue to use technology to improve it. Now, I want to pull out another cultural key that has helped them in their success. And I talked about it when I read to you the statement in the very beginning about their business, which is innovation. Innovative is one of the key words that I read to you. Let me go back to it. Let me scroll back up there for you so that I can say exactly how they said it. All right. Okay, here, this is what they said. Our world-class product team builds innovative and award-winning performance products for all types of outdoor and work environments. So innovation has been key for them. And 30 years later, from when they started, because innovative was very key. Remember how she said the boots were outdated for riders and they wanted to bring innovation, they wanted to bring technology in. And now that's what they continue to do. Every time they look at a product they've created, they look, how can we make it better? And she talked about even with the team, like this is something that she's built into the culture so that every team member is looking for ways that they can improve and use technology to make it better. And that comes into play for their apparel. We're talking mostly boots here, but of course, Ariat has apparel. And interestingly, on the podcast episode, she talked about all of the elements that go into creating the jeans and having a consistent feel and the way that they fit, being the way they fit all the time, and that they stand up to a rugged environment and all of those things. And that, again, was part of using technology and innovation and caring about their end user and what they need. I love that. And so she actually said for her, she said, it's been 30 years in business. And she said, if I see someone in an airport wearing our boots and I take a picture, I send it to the team because we get excited about seeing our end users enjoying our products because that's what we do. And we still feel a bunch of pride that swells up in us when we see that. They have excitement, they have passion, they have enthusiasm. 30 years later, she has done such a great job as a founder, keeping that as a part of the company, and it bleeds through into the team. And therefore, that's why you continue to see them succeed in each market that they have stepped into, because they have that clear filter, because they know what their core values are, and then everything else is a throughput for that. Now, you notice in this case study, I didn't actually walk you through their marketing strategies. While I think that would be another interesting topic, what I wanted you to hear is the heart of building the business, the strategy behind that, and how that plays into everything else. Because I bet if we looked at their marketing materials, you would be able to see their marketing messaging is speaking directly to that end user. It's not going to be the same in every market. They're going to find those key points that their users care most about, and they're going to market to that. What's the problem? How are they solving it? That's the key to their marketing because that's the key to everything else that they have done in their business. All right, I hope you've enjoyed that, but this is not all, okay? That was the history. That was the walkthrough. But you know me, here on the podcast, I'm all about learning and then applying. So based on what I've just walked you through in Ariat's history and how they've built a successful company that's lasted 30 plus years, I want to give you 4 key takeaways that you can learn and apply in your equestrian business from Ariat's longstanding success. So this is the point where I tell you, grab a notebook, open the notes up on your phone, or head to the show notes, which will be stormlily.com/161 for episode 161. I will have these takeaways listed on the show notes for you as well. All right, because these are the things I want you to not just listen, but apply to your business. Takeaway number 1, it's about the customer. It's about their problem, it's about their desires, and the way you are going to solve it uniquely. If you look at Ariat, you heard me point that out numerous times. Your customer's problem should be central to everything that you are doing because your business is solving their problems. That's why they're willing to pay for it. Now, it wasn't about what Beth or her team thought that people needed. She didn't just say, this is what I think they need. She actually asked, what do they need? What are they saying is missing? What are the elements that are leaving them frustrated when it comes to their riding boots, and how can we solve that? So takeaway number 1 is to make it all about your customer. Takeaway number 2, be willing to niche down. Be willing to be focused. Again, we go back. Ariat started with a clearly defined user. And as they had success, they evolved over time. If they would have tried to be the best boot for everyone who wears boots, they would not have experienced this same initial success that they had. I want to remind you of a quote that I have shared with you before that I think is brilliant. It has really helped me in a lot of areas, and it's from Rory Vaden. a brand and marketing strategist, and he says, dilute the focus, dilute the results. If you are not willing to get focused when it comes to your audience, then your marketing is going to fall flat. You've got to be focused if you want effective marketing, if you want to see results. Takeaway number 3, innovate with purpose. Now, here's why I say with purpose, because as entrepreneurs, you likely don't have a shortage of ideas. And many of you probably don't mind changing things and evolving over time. But my encouragement and my lesson from this is to not just change just for the sake of change. Ariat is changing and improving based on customer feedback and with a filter, keeping technology infusion at the forefront of what they do, keeping their user at the forefront of what they do. Now, I bet you that does not mean they're jumping on every idea that comes their way. I guarantee that they have received ideas and feedback from their customers that they did not walk with, that they did not implement because it didn't work with their strategy or it didn't fall in line with what they were doing. Or maybe it wasn't applicable for everybody that they were trying to reach. I'm sure there were different reasons because they had a filter. And that's the same for you. I do want you to innovate. I do want you to be willing to make changes to your offers and your business and your communication. But you've got to have a clear filter, a clear goal, a clear why for your business. Okay? The most successful entrepreneurs know how to say no so that you can say yes when it matters most. All right, takeaway number 4. This is the last one I have for you. And this encouragement is for you to build the right team. I didn't talk a lot about this in my overview of Ariat, but Beth did talk in the interview about the culture of the team that she's built or that they have built together as she built up her team. And now, of course, they have a much larger team, a leadership team. But there's been intentionality around that. And because they're clear on their purpose, they're clear on their culture, they're able to bring in team members that are on board and that line up with that. And it's so much more powerful. Remember, I told you she's sending texts to her team members of pictures that when she sees people wearing their products. And that's because she knows that they're going to join in the excitement. They want to hear because they're also passionate about what they do. And with the right team members in place, that also means she doesn't have to be everywhere all the time. She's built up a business that allows her to get the right people in the right places, and then they do their job based on the filter. Now, you may be saying, Denise, I'm a solopreneur, so how does this apply to me? Well, number 1, as you grow, you're going to be adding people to your team, even if it's a virtual assistant, even if it's an assistant trainer, even if it's a groom, even if it's weekend help, whatever it might be, a photographer assistant, you're going to invite people along to help you. But also, your team may not be people that you hire, but it might be the people that you surround yourself with that are supporting you in your business ventures. For example, I have somebody who I call my business bestie, and we've actually become very good friends, not just in the business. But one of the beautiful things about our friendship is that the business is a commonality that we have. She's also an equine business owner. And so we talk through struggles, strategies, ideas, all the business things. And as you know, not everybody in your life is going to be an entrepreneur, and they may not want to talk about business all the time, those things that light you up. But having somebody else that you can talk with it's not just life-giving, it is necessary. It's absolutely necessary. Now, for me, also, I've worked with a business coach at different times throughout my business that have really transformed how I approach my business and helped me to make some changes along the way. They help me to see things I otherwise would have missed. And so while I may be a solopreneur, there absolutely is a measure of being intentional about getting the right team around me. And so I want to encourage you as well. If you're heading into 2025 and you're thinking, this is the year I'm going to focus on business growth, this is the year that I get a strategy in place, it's not likely to happen all on your own in a silo. You need a thinking partner, somebody who can care about the success of your business deeply, someone who thinks strategically from a variety of angles, someone who will ask you the necessary, sometimes hard, questions that will move you toward progress in your business and help you to be the horse business owner that's going to make your dream business a reality. And that's why I'm so passionate about one-on-one coaching with equestrian entrepreneurs, because I get to bring that marketing expertise and my ability to see the big picture and your goals while also seeing the details and the action steps that you need to take that will help you to take that big picture and make it a reality. And I bring a framework to guide you through it as well. So if that is something where you're saying, Denise, I've heard you talk about coaching, I want to learn more, I invite you to go to stormlily.com, that's LILY.com/reins, and you'll learn more about my one-on-one coaching program there. But let me also tell you, if you read that and you're saying, Denise, I'm still not sure, then I encourage you to apply. And what applying does, it does not commit you to coaching. It just says, hey, I think I'm interested. Let's talk and see if this is a good fit for one another. And so you fill out the brief application, we get on a Zoom chat, and I just ask you more questions about what are your goals and how can I help you get there? And then from there, we make a decision if it's a fit for you or not. So I highly invite you to do that. Going it alone is not necessary, and it's really not the thing that's going to help you make progress in your business. You need a guide. I would love to be that for you. Now, if you're saying, Denise, I hear you, but you're sharing these things about getting clear on your audience and being willing to niche down, and I'm just not sure where my marketing falls in with that, then I have a free resource I would invite you to grab. If you go to stormlily, LILY again, .com/success, I have a free guide to take you from overwhelmed with marketing to optimized. Clean it up. Make it simple. You can get my guide. It'll give you 4 steps to successfully market your horse business, even if you get horses more than marketing. So again, I will have all of these notes for you, including these 2 links on the show notes for this episode. So let me just give you one link, and that has all the things, okay? If you go to stormlily.com/161, episode 161, you will get these 4 takeaways right there. It's not like you don't have to put an email address in for the takeaways. The show notes are right there for you. And then I'll have the links for the coaching as well as this free guide. I want to make it easy for you to take action and make your dreams happen this year. All right? Okay, let me just tell you this. If you enjoyed this case study format, it's not something I've done before, I would love to hear if it was helpful to you and if you have a business that you would like me to do a deep dive on for a future podcast episode. So find me on Instagram or Facebook. It is Storm Lily Marketing, or of course, go to the website, shoot me an email anytime. Let me know if you enjoyed this format, what you enjoyed about it, and if there's a business you'd like to see me do a case study on in the future, I'd be happy to do that. All right. But in the meantime, stay tuned because I have some really fun podcast guests to introduce you to in the coming weeks. And so it's going to be good. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast wherever it is that you listen. And if we're not email friends yet, grab my free guide and you'll be on my email list. Okay. And then every week, I just send you a quick email that says, here's the newest episode. Here are some things I've been learning. And then I always include a new resource or something to help you in your marketing along the way. All right. So jump onto that. But in the meantime, I'm so glad you've joined me here. I wish you many blessings in your business, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have an amazing day.